Local governments have been tapping into a new source of revenue, raising taxes on the vacation homes of the wealthy. Robert Frank has that story. Good morning, Robert.
Tough group to feel sorry for, but this is a big source of revenue right now. From Rhode Island and Montana to Cape Cod and even L.A., a growing number of local governments are taxing the real estate of the wealthy to raise revenue. So let's take Rhode Island. They have a new property tax on non-primary residences valued at $1 million or more that was just approved by the governor. It adds an extra $5 for every $1,000 in assessed value. It's also known as the Taylor Swift tax, since Taylor bought an oceanfront estate back in Watch Hill back in 2013. Her property is currently assessed at $28 million with property taxes of $201,000 a year. So the new tax would add another $136,000, bringing her total annual property tax bill on that vacation home to $337,000. Montana also passing a tax on second homes and investment properties that's going to take effect next year. It would raise property taxes 68% for vacation homes, but lower taxes for full-time residents. And in Cape Cod, the town of Falmouth considering a special transfer tax on homes sold for over $2 million. Now, similar taxes, they've had kind of mixed success when you look at what's happened with revenues. LA's new mansion tax on sales of over $5 million, that was expected to raise up to $1 billion a year. So far, it has raised less than half that. But look, a lot of this is aimed at these two housing markets that we have right now, where a lot of Americans simply can't afford a home. And the top end of the market, the luxury market, the vacation home market, has been booming because of all cash buyers at the very top. So a lot of this money in Rhode Island and Montana is either going to property tax relief for full-time residents, or in Rhode Island's case, it will go toward housing affordability programs. So this is, number one, states grappling with Washington, D.C. tax cuts, but also with this sort of voter resentment and anger over what's happening in the housing market.
Well, there's different ways you can go at it. In Europe, I think in Spain in particular, they have now come up with some new laws that say you're not going to be able to rent out houses because there have been all these people who have gone to resort towns, bought houses, and planned to use them as an Airbnb. And that creates all kinds of problems with affordability, too. So I guess this is the alternative.
It does.
To doing something like that.
And Montana's grappling with that because a lot of the local people are bought those Airbnb properties, and that's their source of income. Right. So these are sort of mom and pop small businesses that have used property as a source of income. They're losing that. So what they've done in Montana is say, look, we're going to tax, unless it's a long-term lease on a rental property, if you're doing short-term leases, we're going to tax those like a second home.
But it makes sense when you think about the hotel taxes that they have to pay. So
whereas the Airbnbs don't.
Why should you get to do the same thing as a hotel and not have to pay?
That's right. But we're going to see, I think, and you're already seeing legislators talk about that. We may even see it in New York, depending what happens with the mayoral race. Efforts, we had the pied-à-terre tax proposal in New York. That was killed a few years ago. But I could see in a Mamdani administration that certainly could come back.
They're not going to be worth anything if they're rent controlled, so your taxes are going to be 10% about
Yeah, because that always works so well.
Yeah, oh, we know that.
Thanks, Robert.
That never hurt supply or anything.